What you're looking at here is the garage workshop. Everything that's in here that you see has to be stored in a place that is either against the wall or in another room in the house so that I can get the car in. The workbench, which is this piece right here, that gets taken apart and stored up against the wall. The Dutch chest over here, the Dutch chest lives inside, and then the chest of drawers and the base unit all live out here in the garage. Same with the caddy over there and the tool tote. The tool tote stays out here, and the saw bench that you see there. The workbench is actually from the designs of Chad Stanton. He had designed a workbench for use as a portable workbench for when he went out on job sites, having a larger, more traditional bench in his shop. And so for my purposes, his portable bench became my actual bench. And so, because I like the idea, 2 saw benches stacked on top of each other gives a tray in the middle with a work surface on top. 2 pieces that come apart can be stored against the walls of the garage, so the car can be moved inside, or so I can do other projects. With the workbench, you have a top piece, and you have the bottom piece down here. And so these are the 2 saw bench surfaces. Now the drawer I added, and I've noticed in the last couple of years, his plans have also added a much larger drawer. But my drawer I kind of custom made for myself for my needs at the time. What really drew me to his design for a portable workbench was the use of clamps, or pipe clamps specifically, here and over there. And with these 2 pipe clamps, you can have your own face or tail vise on your workbench, which on his portable bench for using at a job site was probably perfect for what he needed. But I have found using both the face and the tail vise on this one, where it's actually more like a leg vise, as you'll see in a moment, was a good use for me for the type or the size of things that I'm building here in my workshop. And then another nice feature about the two saw benches, the top of the bottom one becomes a shelf, or a space that you can put your tools, mallets, different mallets, hold down saws, or even wood that you're using. You want to put it down for a second. It's a great place to do that kind of work as well. Okay, we're going to pull out the bottom drawer, take a look and see what's inside. When I made this drawer, I was actually experimenting with comb joints. This is the first and probably only time I've done comb joints. I love dovetails so much. But I did a box based on comb joints, finger joints, and went ahead and made a box out of it and decided, well, I'd use it for my drawer. And so it's made of pine with a couple pieces on the side to act as runners for where it goes in down there, which are two sort of L-shaped holders that this slides into. And those are screwed into the bottom of the bottom saw bench. Inside, first tray, and I should say just about everything in here supports the workbench. So this drawer was sort of made not to hold general tools, but to hold things that are specific to the workbench, and so they stay out with the workbench. They don't go inside like the Dutch chest does. First of all, we have a tray. Tray pulls out. Set this up here. Inside the tray, I have some things that support the workbench, or support actually the vices on the workbench. There's a pencil. Those pencils are always a good thing to have around. And additionally, you have, for the face vise, remember the face vise had a little pin on the end of it, and so this is the pin. A little pin that holds the wooden skewer in place. And that's what keeps the face part from coming off. And then for the tail or leg vise, this piece, which I carved myself, fits into the side of the guide that helps you to manage where the tail vise rests against the piece, how far it rests, so that you have the amount of push that you need on top for the piece on top. And so that's just a little tray that I made out of, it's like 1/4-inch plywood, birch plywood. Further inside, I have a box. I'll talk about this in a bit, if we can pull it out. There it is. Additionally, I have a tool, nice tool. This is a good place to keep this. This is actually it's like sort of acts like a doorstop, except it's for underneath of the workbench. Sometimes on this uneven concrete garage floor, it gets a little wonky. And so this helps to stick underneath one of the sides. It's actually oak, and it's left over from another project, so it fits. And then I have different dogs, different bench dogs that I made, different sizes, things that can be used with planing, thinner pieces of wood, and you can scrape these without a problem because they are made of wood as well. And then I have a small rule for small measurements. Now, when I started out, I actually did keep some tools inside of here. This L area here has actually had an L square in it, and this area over here had a marking gauge. But as you could probably imagine, in this garage it gets very humid, and so the L square actually started to corrode. So I had to pull that and the other thing out, and that's why I don't keep tools in here, because this is kept in the garage most of the time. These measuring tools up here are not a big deal. This one's made of plastic, and the other one is made of sort of a cheap aluminum, so not so worried about those going bad. But some of the tools here that I paid a little higher money for, I want to keep in good condition, or better condition than the garage will afford. And then finally, this box. This box was actually my first woodworking project of all the woodworking projects I've done. It was made in November of 2014 when I started out. It's just a basic box. It's based on those boxes that you can, little jewelry boxes you can paint that you buy from the big box hobby stores, like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, place like that. And so I bought one of those, bought the materials, and replicated as best I could. Inside are the bench dogs. These bench dogs I bought from a store. Others I made myself. And then there's some other shims and other materials that I have for working with my hold downs or other materials. And so this makes it a nice place to keep them inside the drawer that's kept with the workbench. So they're kept where the workbench is so we can have it at all times. As I mentioned before, the design of this portable workbench is that of Chad Stanton. So I didn't design anything here. I did design the drawer at the bottom, but his model has since acquired its own drawer, much larger than mine. And so if you want plans for this, you'll have to check with Chad.